Huddle up. You for once do it.
No, you do it.
No, you do it. Welcome, everybody.
No, buckle up, Buttercup, or is that what you say?
Huddle up, Steelers Nation. I'm Tank. He's Mike. He's got marbles in his mouth, and I just beat him at golf. Say it.
How many strokes did you get?
3, a hole, but I still win. Steelers Nation, look, there's good things to talk about on beating up those Broncos from Denver last week. Mike, what positive things can you take away from last week against the Broncos?
Najee Harris, the use of Benny Snell, the use of a fullback, trying to get the tight end more involved. Offensively, just mixing it up a little bit more. And then also some big plays by Chase Claypool, which I think they realize they need to get the ball to him more. And now with Juju being out, I think you got to utilize a tight end much more. I know they have James Washington. I know they have some other guys as well, but I would like to see the tight end more. I'd like to see more heavy personnel the way other teams do. They use 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. I think the Steelers could use that to their advantage. And obviously the defense played pretty well for the most part. Basically keeping the Broncos at bay until the fourth quarter.
Look, I went on record before the season even began, this atrocity of a season, took shape, that this quite potentially could be the best wide receiving core in the NFL. Now Juju's out. Ben has been beaten to hell and back over the last several games. The offensive line is subject. However, Chase Claypool is really distinguished himself as a cream of the crop in the NFL, man. This kid can't catch anything thrown at him.
Well, he can, and he has that ability to. He's a young player still, but it's going to be up to him if he wants to take that leap to that next step.
What's the next step?
Where you're considered like Julio Jones when he was in his prime, when you're considered a Stephon Diggs or a Tyreek Hill, where teams are forcing to double coverage, and the way Antonio Brown used to be, the way teams have to tilt the coverage to defend you. And when you do that, it allows other things to open up, the way Antonio Brown did for Juju Smith-Schuster when he first came on the scene. Antonio Brown tilted that coverage, and now he's in a system down in Tampa. He's got Mike Evans. He's not the number one guy. He's got Mike Evans. He's got Chris Godwin, and now he's able to get some of those one-on-one matchups that he created for Juju when he was in there. And now Antonio Brown, being a number 3 receiver for Tampa, can get those one-on-one matchups and win and look like a dominant receiver again. But again, it comes down to, can he consistently step up and come up with those big play balls? The way Calvin Johnson used to. I mean, until 2 guys line up and it look like he's a gunner on the punt team and try and defend him like that, to me, that was the best receiver that's played. It's just too hard to defend. But Claypool has that body type. He has the speed. Can he put the focus in and cut the distractions? And we'll see. The off-the-field distractions what worries me about him. But for the most part, he's a special talent and can be one of the best receivers in the league. And personally, I think he's better than Deontay Johnson. Obviously, Deontay Johnson's great once he gets that ball in his hands. He's great after the catch. But again, I think Claypool is the big play guy that you need to get more touches to.
It has been 16 games, Mike, since Pittsburgh Steelers have had a 100-yard rushing performance out of a running back. That's an old NFL season ago.
Well, and that's the thing. That used to be the
standard
staple of Pittsburgh Steelers football, and they had the record going back to the 70s of 43 straight rushing games over 100 yards that the Ravens had just tied 2 weeks ago, and they could have taken that record on Monday night if they would have got 100 yards against the Colts, and the Colts held them under 100 yards rushing. When you run the football, it forces the defense to do things of a physical aspect, and you can impose your will.
The ground and pound, baby.
I think they need to get back to that. You obviously have a great running back in Najee Harris. I like Kalen Ballage as the backup. Benny Snell's doing a decent job right now, but you can get a little bit of a 3-headed back rotation going in there. Give Najee Harris a little bit of a spell and let these guys run harder and shove the ball down their throat and just force feed it. And I think that would definitely help the Steelers as well, and actually help take some of the pressure off Ben, because when you can run the ball successfully, now the defensive line has to respect the run. They have to play the run. They just can't pin their ears back and go flying upfield. And if they're going to do that and your offensive line is struggling, start doing some traps. That's the best thing you can do against a good pass rusher, and start trapping. You guard trap, tackle trap. There's different ways you can do it, but it needs to be utilized more. And they're starting to get there, but not quite enough yet.
You were screaming for the fullback, Mr. Watt, since last season. You got him this last weekend, and he was able to, well, chip some defensive ends. Von Miller rushing in on the pass rush. He was able to get onto some linebackers a couple times, make that hole for Mr. Najee Harris there. I love the addition in Watt, but the real surprise in last week's game, and he's really starting to come on as a blocker, one of the things we need on this offensive line is the galloping moose, as I call him, Zach Gentry. All of a sudden, here's Zach Gentry coming into his own. He's not a great blocker, but at least he's getting on bodies and he's staying on a body so Najee could come off of him.
And I love utilizing that personnel. You know, get 2 tight ends, get 3 tight ends. You have Eric Ebron, who can be a great passing tight end.
If he's focused.
You have Ebron, you have Gentry, and you have Freiermuth, and you get those 3 guys in. Now you can either add in Harris and a fullback, or Harris and Claypool, or Harris and Deontay Johnson, and go heavy play action pass, maybe a shot over the top with a tight end leaking out late as your check down. There's multiple things you can do that are great weapons, but I love that set because it's a heavy set and it forces the defense to play the run.
But you still have a problem, okay? This was not beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was not beating the Green Bay Cheeseheads. You beat the Denver Broncos.
It beat a banged up Bronco team right now.
Yeah.
But still, you know.
still have a problem though, Mike.
But yeah, you know.
Ben is running around.
But, you know.
He had the strip sack.
But part of being successful in the NFL was 1, staying healthy. 2, playing sound football, okay? 3, gaining some momentum. And 4, getting a little bit of luck. And
positive takeaways on your Pittsburgh Steelers defense against the Broncos last week. Cam Hayward's playing out of his head because he knows he needs to pick up the slack from Tuitt and Alawalo. TJ Watt is looking great. Bush had his best game last week. He had that sack. I think this defense is coming along. Really, every week this kid impresses me into his sophomore year. Alex Highsmith is a football player, and he can play in this league.
They seem to always fill that position so well through the draft. Year after year, they get another guy, and it's like, well, is he going to be good enough? And then you start to see him evolve a little bit, mature a little bit, start making good plays. And it helps to have TJ Watt on one side because now.
What about Ingram? Mel Ingram is playing out of his mind. And he even has the ability at a great bull rush up the middle. A couple times last week, they sent him up over the guard, and he jacked the guard up.
So they're using it so they can actually get all 3 of them on the field at the same time by putting him in the middle. Or, hey, look, we got to give the TJ Watt a rest. We got to give Highsmith a rest, and we can sub them in and kind of get a little bit of a rotation to keep those D linemen fresh. And that's where the Steelers can be successful. Obviously, they have some decent defensive backs in the back end, but the better your rush is, the better off those guys can be.
Yeah, up front, they've got to be solid. I like what's going on. Even Henry Mongoose, whatever the hell you want to call him, got involved in a couple big plays last weekend. All right, so the Seattle Sea Chickens are coming to town. Mike, I think the Steelers eke out a victory this week.
I think they can run away with it. I really do. I feel if they play to their full potential, Ben takes care of the football in the pocket, no turnovers. I see it being more of like a 28 or a 31 to a 10 type game.
31.
28-10, 31-10.
All right, 31-10 says the quarterback.
I think they can, and I think they should. But if it's a 21-20 game, then you might get the win, but you're going to be in trouble. So I'm being positive this week. I'm calling 31 or 28 to 10.
Somebody get me Jimmy the Greek on the phone. I got $500 I want to put down on the Steelers because the quarterback said so. I'm Tank. He's Mike. Cross your fingers
don't
again.
Don't take my advice for betting.
Number 58 for your Pittsburgh Steelers was a bad man. Flip that around, Mike. Jack Lambert would knock your teeth out. Or Super Bowl, he throws the kicker to Cliff Harris on the ground.
Why did you tell me to turn it around? You know, if you don't know who 58 is for Pittsburgh, then you're not allowed to get this.
Yeah, you're not allowed to get this. Look, this is really simple. Log on to Facebook and like Steelers Chalk Talk with me and, well, I'm Tank, he's Mike, that's the Lambert jersey. Like and share the Steelers Chalk Talk Facebook page, and at the end of this season, 2021, we're gonna give away the Lambert jersey to somebody that likes and shares our Facebook page so they can watch us every week. What do you think about that?
But they also have to know who Jack Lambert is.
They know who Jack Lambert is. If you don't know who Jack Lambert is, you don't deserve to win his jersey.
And the next one might be a Webster.
No, he's talking. Like, share Steelers Chalk Talk on Facebook, and one lucky, the jersey. Somebody show them the jersey. Somebody's gonna win this jersey. The Lambert jersey, bicentennial jersey. Like, share Steelers Chalk Talk on Facebook. Maybe even YouTube too.